Hello boys and girls, Lord Hawkeye here again. Sorry it's been a while since I put a video up, so this one's a kind of a double feature. I hope that'll do okay for you. And I'll enjoy the Skyrim footage. I'm not playing World of Warcraft right now, probably not until the expansion comes out, so you'll see Skyrim footage until then. Anyways, let's move on. Let's see. The first item of note is the recent news about New York and how Mayor Bloomberg and his eternal quest to prove he is the biggest twat in politics, and believe me, that's a very hotly contested title, is getting large-size soft drinks banned, the sale of them, in his ongoing effort to tell people what they're allowed to eat, because apparently he fancies himself everyone's dad. Kind of creepy. But anyways, and this has got a lot of people quite riled up about this. They say it's an invasion of your rights or whatever. This all reminds me of something. You remember that old Aesop fable about the fox and the lion? How the fox steals a sheep, walks along all feeling all smug about himself, and then the lion comes along, takes the sheep from him, and he gets all angry about how unfair and mean that is, even though he just stole the sheep himself. And the moral of that story, of course, you reap what you sow. So, and this just reminds me, a lot of these people who are getting all angry about this soda ban, they supported the smoking ban. In fact, statistically, most of them did. In fact, many of them admitted that they support the smoking ban, but they're against this. I really have to question, where exactly do you get off taking these two positions? When you supported the smoking ban, you supported the idea that if you don't like someone's behavior, it's okay to have them threatened with violence if they don't change their ways to match what you think they ought to do. So when someday down the road it turns on you, you can't complain about it. No, you can't. You don't get to do that because you supported it before. Everything's a two-way street. This is why I warn people: don't use arguments you wouldn't accept yourself, because one day you may find yourself facing it, and you're not going to be in much of a position to oppose it. So that's the lesson of the day. You reap what you sow. This is one of the things that bugs me so much about status. They support socialistic policies, which are really just Ponzi schemes that give them free stuff at the expense of the next generation, and then they turn around and whine and cry about the exploitation of Wall Street getting a bailout on their dime. What are you complaining about? You supported the government stealing from your kids and the future unborn for you. So where exactly do you get off complaining about Wall Street using the government to steal from you? You reap what you sow, folks. And learn it well. Alright, with that out of the way, the other item of note. This is something I should have touched on before, but I never got around to. When private companies do bad things, as of course they'll inevitably do. I mean, no one's saying the private industry is perfect, much as people accuse me of that. They say, "Oh, lack of regulation was the problem," and I really get the sense these people have not thought this position through very well. Because think about it: the problem was lack of regulation. What does that mean? What does that mean? What is implied in that sentence? What's implied in there is that the government wanted to stop the disaster from happening, or they wanted to punish the perpetrators of the crime, but they lacked the means to do so. They didn't have what it took to do their job. They didn't have enough money. They didn't have enough power. They didn't have enough resources. They were missing the tools they needed to do what they had to do the right thing. Oh boy. Let's think about that. And the way to test these ideas is simply to ask yourself, when someone says they can't do something, the question you should always ask is, could he do it if he was properly motivated to? Like if someone says, "Oh, I can't stop drinking. I got a huge drinking problem. It's hopeless." Think of this: if I put a suitcase with $2 million in front of him and said, "If you can go the whole week without drinking, that money's yours," what would an alcoholic do? He would just light up. All of a sudden, not drinking would be an absolutely trivial task for him. For $2 million, he'd grit his teeth through it. I guarantee you. There is the most hardened alcoholic in the world would gladly give up booze for that kind of with that kind of motivation behind it. Now, on the flip side, if I put that money in front of, say, someone who had heart disease and said, I'll give you this money if you never have a heart attack or something like that. No, he can't. No, that's not something he can cure with willpower. That is an actual disease. That is something he truly can't control. So there you go. And that's the difference. So the question is, government can't come down on these big companies because they don't have the power to do so. Well, I wonder, have they come down on people before when they had incentive to do so? I mean, like, if you think government lacks power to come down on somebody who does wrong, just try skipping your taxes for a few years and see how quick they are to come after you. I mean, like, steal from them, commit a crime against the government, and just watch how fast they are to act. I mean, and lack of regulation, it always gets me wondering. Like, when they say lack of regulation caused the BP oil spill. But guys, there already are laws against spilling oil in the ocean and damaging other people's property, which is exactly what they did. So what's the problem? And think back to Al Capone. You know that old story? He was involved in racketeering, drug trafficking, all sorts of nasty stuff, but the police just could not bust him. He was just so good at covering his tracks. Well, apparently that's just how the story goes. But what happened was, in the end, they just sicked the IRS on him, and they nailed him for tax evasion and put him in jail for that. Now, I find that highly immoral. I mean, give people the power to imprison anyone they want and expect them to not abuse it. I mean, if that's not naive, I don't know what is. But put that aside for the moment. Think about that. Have you looked at tax codes? Have you looked at all the regulations on the books right now? Can anyone say with any degree of certainty that they have complied with every word of the tax code, every single regulation on the books right now? Well, I can tell you right now, no, you haven't. There are regulations that contradict each other. There are tons of them. So what this means is the government could come down on anyone they wanted at any time for any reason. There is literally not one single person in the entire country who is not in violation of some regulation. So, when people say lack of regulation was the problem, they're saying government wanted to come down on them but couldn't. But as I very clearly explain here, no, they could come down on them. They easily could. It wouldn't be a difficult task at all if they were motivated to do so. So the conclusion is, when big companies do bad things and get away with it, government isn't powerless to stop them. They simply chose not to. Why? I'll let you ponder that question for a while. Until next time, be aware and be wise.